Alright, now we're ready to read our ABO/RH types. Here's our worksheet. Notice that I've already included the lot number and expiration date for each of our antibody reagents. There is no spot on this worksheet for our RH control. If you would have to use your RH control, there'll be another column here. The main thing to remember is if the RH control is not negative, the test is invalid. We're going to grade each of these tubes 0 to 4. 0 means there's no agglutination whatsoever. 1+ is a few small clumps with a cloudy background. 2+ is a few to moderate small clumps with a clear background. 3+ is a couple of large clumps, again a clear background, and 4+ is going to be one large clump with a clear background. We're going to record the numbers 1 to 4+ as plus. If it is a negative, we're going to write either a 0 or a double line like an equal sign, because it's too easy if you just put a single line. A stray scratch suddenly becomes a positive, and that's very bad for blood banking. We read one tube at a time. Gently shake to suspend the button. This is a 4+. It's one large chunk with a nice clear background. So I'm going to check my patient ID. This is my anti-A, and I'm going to record my result. Here's my anti-B. I'm going to gently shake it, and I'm going to roll the specimen along the side of the tube until the entire cell button is suspended. Notice there's no clumping whatsoever. This would be a negative result. Check my patient ID that this is B, and I'm going to put my result. Here's my anti-D. Again, just because there's a clump at the bottom now doesn't mean it's positive. You have to suspend it first. And you do want to roll it down the side to look for agglutination in the magnifying mirror. Again, check my patient ID and record my results. Our RH control is also negative. Okay. We're going to look at our next patient. Here's our anti-A. And again, we're going to suspend it entirely before we read it. Sometimes this one is a little tougher. You may have to shake a little harder for your A and your B. Okay. There's no agglutination. Check my patient ID and record my result. Anti-B. We have one large clump with a clear background, so it's positive. Check my patient ID, make sure I'm recording it in the correct column, and put down my result. And again, make sure you resuspend the entire button before you make a decision. Check my patient ID, make sure I'm in the right column, and record my result. I'm going to check my RH control, and it is negative, so we're good. And the last patient here, this would be a 3+. We've got a couple of large chunks, some smaller chunks, but a nice clear background. So we're going to check our patient ID, make sure we're in the correct column, record the result. Here's my anti-B. Again, I'm going to resuspend the button before I call it negative or positive. check my patient ID, make sure I'm in the right column, and record my result. This is my anti-D. It's not quite as strong. This is a 2+. We've got a couple of big chunks and a lot of little ones, but a nice clear background. Doesn't matter if it's 1+ or 4+, any reaction is still considered a positive. So I check my patient ID, make sure I'm in the right column, and write down my result. I'm going to check and make sure that my RH control worked. And there we go. I now have all of my reactions. To figure out the blood type, all you have to do is write down what reacted. So my A reacted, so I write A. If my D reacts, I write plus. If it doesn't, I write negative. On the second one, what reacted was my B, so I write what reacted. If my D reacts, I write positive. If not, I write negative. And on the last one, my A reacted, so I write what reacted. And then if my D reacts, it's positive. If not, it's negative. We'll do more work with that in lecture.